Welcome YouTubers back to the Four Bells Fitness Emporium. Here we are in Southern Ontario in lockdown 2.0. The same rules are the same as the previous lockdown, which means we are here to support you in your fitness endeavors regardless of what your situation is. So whether that means you're at home with the most glorious home gym anyone has ever seen, maybe you're at home with 2 cans of beans and that's all you have to use as resistance weights, we are here to support you. So if you ever need any help with exercises, substitutions, what to do instead, shoot us a message. You can either leave it in the comments below. If you're in the gym, send us a message on Slack. And if you want to, you can email us as well. So today, back to workouts from home. We are doing a GPP phase for hopefully the next 4 weeks of our lockdown. That's all it is. Fingers crossed, all the fingers crossed. So that means today we have got an upper body focused day. So workout from home 55. We have, as always, we're going to have a warm up, we're going to have a strength piece, we're going to have a conditioning piece, and we've got some extra sauce to do, a little sprinkle of the cherry on top at the end today. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about our warm up as it pertains to our workout today. As our workout today is focusing on horizontal pushing, that's the big focus today. So that means whether you're at home, maybe you're doing some push-ups, maybe you have some dumbbells, maybe you have a barbell, whatever it is, our focus in our warm-up today is to get the arms and shoulders ready to do that pushing. So we're doing 3 exercises 3 times, or 3 rounds, however you want to look at it. We're going to do some shoulder dislocates, also known as a controlled articular rotation. Can I control my shoulder joint through a full range of motion? We're doing 10 of those. They can be performed with either a band or a PVC pipe or even a belt, whatever you have available. From there, shoulder taps, we're doing 10 slow, 10 fast. We're looking at warming up the stabilizers of the shoulders, as well as looking at a little bit of anti-rotation work with the core as well, get that core warmed up. And last but not least, my favorite variation on the Hindu push-up. Here at the Four Bells, we teach 4 levels of the Hindu push-up, but we're just going to go over levels 1 and 2. We're going to keep it nice and easy. It is, after all, the warm-up, not the workout. So we're going to do these 3 things 3 times. Let's spend a little bit of time going over how to do all of those, guys. In the warm-up today, there's 3 exercises that we're looking at. We're looking at shoulder dislocates, trying to control how, well, we're supposed to look at how we can control the shoulder and the range of motions that we can get into. From there, shoulder taps, looking at shoulder stability, and then from there, Hindu push-ups, really trying to address every range of motion possible for the shoulder, apart from shoulder extension. So, when it comes to shoulder dislocates, what do you have available to you? In the gym, we use bands, we also use a pipe, PVC pipe, which is a little bit less forgiving. But if you're at home, maybe you have a belt, maybe you have a piece of rope, maybe you have a jiu-jitsu belt, whatever you have available to you. We're going to start with the hands pretty wide at first, just kind of keeping the arms straight, trying to keep the chin neutral, coming over, touching the low back or the bum, depending on how long or short our arms are. And then as we go across the 3 rounds, all I want to think is, can I move my hands in a little bit? So I should be thinking, can I just kind of squeeze and get that range of motion a little bit closer as we go through the warm-up. So once I've done 10, I'm then going to go immediately into shoulder taps. So with the shoulder tap, I'm going to be in a plank position, so hands directly below the shoulders. I'm going to get those feet back, nice tight plank position, so I can squeeze the legs, squeeze the bum, squeeze the abs. And it's going to be 10 slow shoulder touches at first. So that means slow. Slow. If you find balance is difficult doing this, just get the feet a little bit wider. That'll help with stability a little bit. So again, for me, I find that's actually a little bit easier for me now. I'm not moving around as much. And then from there, once I've done 10 slow, I'm going to do 10 fast. So 10 slow, 10 fast. From there, with the Hindu push-up, all I'm thinking is to start in what is very commonly known in yoga as child's pose. So that means bum back to the heels. I'm going to extend those arms out in front of me. And from here, I'm going to start nice and easy. So that means nose stays a long way away from the floor. I'm going to pull myself forwards, hips to the floor and push up. From here, we're going to dig the toes into the floor. And I'm going to drive those hips up to the ceiling. From there, we bring the knees down, butt back. And if I want to make this a little bit more difficult now, I just bring the forearms down, and I'm trying to get the nose as close to the floor as possible as I transition over the wrists and push up. Again, hips to the ceiling, trying to open those shoulders, knees down, and then we go again. So we're doing 10 shoulder dislocates, 10 slow, 10 fast with the shoulder tap, and then 5 Hindu push-ups. We're doing that 3 times in the warm-up today. The strength piece today, the big focus is horizontal pushing. We're on a pressing day here at the gym. So how is our strength piece going to be set up? It's very simple. We have 90 seconds windows of time per exercise. So that means I've got 90 seconds to do some kind of horizontal pushing. That could be push-ups, could be bench press. We'll talk about that more in a second. And then in the next 90 seconds, I've got 90 seconds to go through our YTWI sequence that we go through. So once I'm in my first, well, I suppose the first piece we're looking at is what do I want to do? What do I have resources available to me? So push-ups today, we're doing 5 to 10 reps. So that means if you're new to push-ups, so you're kind of working on your push-up journey, trying to get your first push-up on the floor, we're looking at 5 to 10 reps. So that is a fairly large rep range. That I would say that if I can do reps 7, 8, 9, 10, then I would be thinking I need to find something a little bit more challenging. That doesn't mean just doing 5 and being done. It means we're trying to push to 10 as much as we can. So we'll talk about a few kind of variants and options you can have. From there, when it comes to one-arm push-ups, you are a push-up ninja and you are looking to get your first one-arm push-up, or maybe like a few people we have in the gym, you can do one-arm push-ups. We're just doing 5 per arm. So again, we're going to go over a few options of what's available to you, how you can make them a little bit easier or a little bit harder depending on what you want to do. And last but not least, in our horizontal pushing, if you're at home with a bench press, with a barbell, or sorry, with a bench and a barbell, you can do barbell bench press today for 10 reps. Or if maybe you've just got dumbbells, you can do 10 reps on a dumbbell as well. So those are our options available to us. We're going to go over those in just a second. From here with the YTWI, or as we like to call in the gym, thanks to Big Papa G, the yitty witty. We're going to go through the yitty witty. We're going to talk about how to do that just at body weight. We're going to talk about how to do it with some very light weights. I'm talking like 2.5 pounds, 5 pounds at the most. Maybe just a can of beans in each hand. We don't need a lot to get this done. But this is a great sequence to really take care of all the muscles on the back of the shoulder. So things like the rotator cuff, the rear delts, scapular retractors, low traps, lats, all the things we need to stabilize the shoulder. So let's spend some time talking about how to do all of these guys. So with today's strength piece, we're focusing on horizontal pulling. So it really is a choose your own adventure kind of choice. Do I have the resources available to do bench press today? Maybe I've got a bench, maybe I've got a bar, I've got a nice squat rack at home. Or do I have limited resources? Maybe I should be looking at push-ups instead. And if I'm a real push-up ninja, maybe I'm going to be trying some one-arm variations. So if I'm with the barbell and I've got a bench and everything's good to go, we're going to be doing 10 reps of a bench press today. As always, there's like a huge amount of stuff we could be talking about with setup for the bench press. But I'm trying to keep it short and as sweet as possible for you guys. We'll maybe do a separate video on how to bench press in the future, because there is a lot. Well, it seems like a very simple movement. You just lay down, do some benching, do some stuff. There's a huge amount of technique and positioning that goes into doing a successful bench press. So, first of all, if you've got your hood up, put it up, makes you stronger. That's science, we all know that, guys. From here, I want to have a hand position on the bar, which is kind of just outside of shoulder width. But if I know I have shoulders that are a little bit janky, I need to bring those hands in a little bit. So I don't have shoulders that are janky, I have shoulders that are feeling pretty good. So I know that my hands are going to be just on this smooth ring outside of the knurling here on the bar. Make sure my hands are nice and even. I'm going to do a slight arch in the low back, squeeze the shoulder blades and kind of be resting high up on my shoulder blades on the traps. I'm going to bring the feet back a little bit, drive those heels down into the floor, and then it's a nice strong unracking out of the rack. I'm just going to let the bar just settle in for a second into my shoulders, and then I'm going to bring those elbows down, bring in the bar just to touch the chest roughly about nipple line, and then I press back up. We control down to the chest, touch, and then press back up. So of course, if it's possible for you and you have the resources available, we're trying to get a little bit heavier as those 5 sets go on. When it comes to push-ups, the question we've always got to ask ourselves is, again, can I do a push-up on the floor, on my toes, or do I need some things to help me? So if I'm doing push-ups at home, maybe I need the stairs, because if I'm on the stairs, I can elevate my body a little bit more and make things easier. I can also use a bench. I could use a box. I could use the arm of the couch, the back of the couch, a sturdy cat. Whichever you want to use is entirely fine, but we need to think about arm position and keeping the shoulders as healthy as possible. So if I imagine my hands coming out straight in front of me, I'm holding a bar or a PVC pipe, and I'm trying to bend that position. Notice how now the pit of the elbow points forwards. That's what we're looking to do, have the elbow graze the torso as I keep the pit of the elbow forwards. So it means if I'm on the stairs at home, maybe I'm on a bench, I'm going to corkscrew the arms so the pit points forwards, point of my elbow points straight back. From there I'm in my plank position. I'm going to bring the chest to the bench, the box, the stairs, wherever it happens to be, and from there press away. Of course, the same rules apply if I'm on the floor. All I'm looking to do is keep the elbows nice and close to the body as I perform my push-ups. Getting that chest all the way down to the floor, and then pressing up from there. When it comes to the one-arm push-up variation, there's a lot of different ways you can approach it. Essentially what we're trying to do is get one arm to do the majority of the work while the other arm starts to do less and less work as time goes on. So essentially what we're looking to do is start in a push-up position, and then I've got two options. Is the non-working arm going to start to move out to the side a little bit? Or is the non-working arm going to start to move down towards the hip a little bit and do less and less? The choice is entirely yours in terms of what you feel is most comfortable. So that means if I'm setting up, I'm going to have my usual push-up position set up. And then from here, I'm going to start to move that hand out. Make sure this non-working side doesn't do as much. On the working side, I'm still keeping the elbow close to the body, and I'm still keeping a nice, healthy shoulder position. If you find that working this out is good, then how do I get to the point where I'm starting to use the arm less and less? Can I start to bring the hand down now towards the hip a little bit more? And then in time, just seeing if we can play around with taking the hand away altogether. So if I'm bench pressing, it's going to be 10 reps. If I'm doing push-ups, 5 to 10. Again, we're trying to stay as close to 10 as possible, but we're trying to push that intensity level. And if I'm doing one-arm push-ups, it's 5 per arm. The YTWI is a great sequence for shoulder health. It teaches us how to raise the arms up, use the rear delts, start to incorporate the rotator cuff, the low traps, the scapular retractors, and a whole bunch of muscle in the back of us that usually gets forgotten. With the YTWI, we like to do it here forwards in one direction, so YTWI, then we like to do it in reverse, IWTY, for what we lovingly call the yitty witty. With that in mind, we need to think about positioning first of all. So I've got to go face down on the floor to show you how to do this. So cameraman, stay with me. What I've got to think about when I'm doing this is first of all, I'm on the floor. Happy days. I'm going to set my arms up into a Y. So when I see people set up, a lot of the time their hands are very wide, almost like a T. We need to make sure that we are on the Y in YMCA. I'm going to keep my thumbs pointing up, and I'm just going to raise those arms up. So I'm going to hold here for 5 seconds. From there, I go out to a T, squeeze the shoulder blades together. We're going to hold there for 5 seconds. From there, I bring the elbows down towards the rib cage, hands up, don't shoot. They're going to be there for 5 seconds as well. And then because I've got to do a double I bring the hands behind me, raise them up. We'll be there for 10. From there, I'll be back to W for 5 seconds. Out to T for 5 seconds. And then back to Y for 5 seconds. That is our YTWI. If you find doing that with body weight is very easy to do it, then you can just add a light weight. You can use some 2.5 pound plates, 5 pound dumbbells. We had a lot of people using cans of like chickpeas and baked beans and all that kind of thing. So you don't need crazy weights to get this done. It can be very taxing just at body weight. So that's it, the YTWI. Have fun with your yitty witties. With our conditioning piece today, we're just getting used to being back at home again. So we're trying to keep it fairly simple. We don't need a lot of stuff to get it done. We have got 3 1-minute stations that we are going to do 45 seconds of work followed by 15 seconds of rest. That's a minute. We're going to do those 3-minute stations 4 times for a 12-minute conditioning piece today. In my first minute, I'm going to decide what kind of cardiovascular options I have available to me. As I said before, maybe you're very fancy, maybe you've got a fancy home gym, maybe you've got a rower, bike, skier, maybe you've got all these things available to you, or maybe you have nothing available to you. Maybe it's just, maybe you've got jumping jacks because you've got your body, maybe you've got a skip and rope, you can jump rope somewhere in your house with enough ceiling height. Essentially, have a look around you and what do you have available in terms of cardiovascular options. From there, in minute number 2, it's plank rows. So we're going to go over how to do those with dumbbells. Maybe you've got 2 dumbbells, maybe you've got 1, maybe you have none. We'll go over how they can be done with dumbbells or just with body weight. Last but not least, we're going to do some slow bicycle abs. You don't need much to do those. Maybe just something underneath you to protect your low back. So that could be a towel, that could be an old yoga mat, or it could be a fancy plush squishy mat, wherever you have, or even a blanket. Wherever you have have something to protect the low back. So let's talk about how all three of these could look in the conditioning piece today. For our conditioning piece today, in the first minute where we're doing our 45 seconds of work followed by our 15 seconds of rest, what cardiovascular options do we have available to us? Are you lucky enough to have some brand new shiny exercise equipment that you managed to get? Do you have a Concept 2 bike? Do you have a spin bike? Do you have that treadmill in the basement that doesn't see much action? Whatever we have available to us machine-wise, we are trying to be on that machine and we're trying to push the pace pretty fast today. And if you have a display which reads power output of some kind, it's trying to stay consistent across the 4 rounds. Of course, if you don't have a machine available to you, maybe you just have your body weight at home, is there options like jumping jacks, where you can maybe count how many you're doing, and that way you can keep consistent in the amount of reps you're doing. Of course, if jumping jacks aren't available, you could do high knees, you could skip rope, whatever you want to do. We're going to do it for 45 seconds and try and keep that pace consistent throughout our 12-minute conditioning piece. Once that 15 seconds break is done, we're going to do plank rows today. So with our plank rows, a pair of dumbbells is great, a pair of kettlebells is great too, but you're going to find with the kettlebell, because it's got that smaller base of support rather than 2 in the dumbbell, it's going to be that much harder to perform the exercise. So if you are doing them on kettlebells, just be careful you don't roll off and hurt yourself. From there, once I'm doing my plank rows, my foot position for the plank row, I need to be a little bit wider in the feet than I normally do, because I'm going to have that one point of contact. So that means I drive the elbow back, row, row, and we're just alternating from one side to the other for 45 seconds, trying to minimize any rotation with the hips as much as we can, trying to keep everything nice and still. So once 45 seconds of those are done, we're coming to our slow bicycle abs. With our slow bicycle abs, I'm going to think I want to be an otter at first. Be the otter. I'm going to start by looking through my feet and raising my legs up off the floor. I'm going to be the otter. Cracking rocks on my belly, having a fun time. I'm going to lift one leg up and I'm going to draw the other knee into my chest. From here, all I'm trying to think is, can I get my elbow as close to my knee as possible? And then from there, slowly going from one side to the other. That's what we're trying to do. Slowly go from one side to the other. So it's 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest. First station is something cardiovascular, jumping jacks, jump rope, row, run, bike, ski, whatever you have available. From there, second minute is plank rows with dumbbells or kettlebells. And if you don't have dumbbells or kettlebells available, you can do them with body weight too. From there, our last minute is going to be slow, sexy bicycle abs. And we're going to do those 3 things 4 times for a 12-minute conditioning piece today. Extra sauce time. We're going to do a Tabata interval. So a Tabata interval traditionally is 4 minutes long. It's split into 8 30-second windows of time. And in those 30 seconds, we're going to do 20 seconds of work followed by 10 seconds of rest. So when Tabata intervals were originally invented by Professor Izumi Tabata, the idea behind them was to try and increase aerobic capacity in the smallest window of time. But we're not going to use them for aerobic capacity today, we're going to use them for muscular endurance, in particular for the abs. So that means that out of our 8 intervals, we are going to kind of flip-flop back and forth between Russian twists and regular sit-ups. So we're really trying to finish off the abs. We've done a lot of pressing today, we've also done a lot of sneaky abs in there, so we're trying to finish off a little cherry on top of the workout with some extra sneaky abs. So it's 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. We're doing that 8 times, and we're going to go over, right about now, how Russian twists and sit-ups should look. Tabata finisher! As I said, we're going to just alternate back and forth between Russian twists and regular sit-ups. So with the Russian twist, a kind of a bit of controversial exercise. Some people say, oh, you need to be careful when twisting and rotating your spine, particularly if things are loaded. And I can agree with that. But really for a lot of people, I find most of the issue is very tight hips. And it's the same issue that comes with sit-ups for people who have a lot of low back problems when it comes to sit-ups. If you have really tight hips, search our YouTube channel. We have a great tutorial of how to open up your hip flexors. So if you do have problems with low back pain when doing these exercises, send us a message and we'll happily direct you to where that may be. With the Russian twist, you can do them with body weight, you can do them with light weights. I don't think anyone needs to do them with super heavy weights when it comes to the Russian twist. As I said, you're in a mildly compromised position with the spine, but by no means is it injurious unless you go super crazy with it. So that means I'm going to start by just bouncing on my bum, feet off the floor. I could hold a plate, I could hold a small ball, I can hold a small dumbbell, a cat, whichever you like. I'm going to rotate and just go from one side to the other. I don't necessarily need to touch the floor, but all I'm trying to do is keep tension on the abs and smoothly rotate from one side to the other. Once I've done 20 seconds of Russian twists, we take a 10-second break before we come into 20 seconds of regular sit-ups. I'm going to dig the heels into the floor, pull the toes up towards my face, and we're going to do them how I like to call vampire style. So we cross the hands like we're a vampire, we raise up out of our vampire coffin, bring the elbows to the knees, and just lay back down. So I'm trying to move with purpose in that 20 seconds. I'm trying to see how many reps I can do. And if you really are a sit-up ninja, then you can add some weight to the situation and reach up to the ceiling as we do our little ab finisher today. So 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. We're doing that 8 times for 4 minutes, and we're just going to go back and forth between Russian twists and regular sit-ups.